Welcome back. And today we're going to finish out the infamous Greek participle. Chapter 12c, we're covering the perfect participle. So let's get started here. All right. With the perfect participle, we often use the word had as part of our participle form. So let's take a look at the forms of the perfect participle, and there are many points of similarity with what we've already had. So here we have the perfect active participle having loosed, and let's pronounce the nominative and genitive singulars together. Lalukos, laluquia, lalukas, lalukatas, laluquias, lalukatas. All right, with what we already know, with the use of the perfect tense, notice what's up front, reduplication. The lambda and the epsilon. And then we have the kappa. That's been a clue for us in chapter 9 with a perfect active indicative. Reduplication plus a kappa equal perfect. And then we notice over here the feminine a and then the neuter lalukas. And notice what takes place here. We have our stem here for the following forms based upon the genitive case. So we're going 3-1-3 pattern again. And this holds true for all of the active participles. Third declension, first declension, third declension. So again, our keys, reduplication right up at the front with a kappa. And they follow 3-1-3 pattern. All right, our memory aid here. Observe Lou, participle, and the perfect parrot all together in a picture, standing next to the mirror for reduplication. Lou has loosed the coats on the queen bee cause it's hot. Now, the word coats, queen, and cause remind us of the endings kos, that's for the coats. Quia is like the word queen, and kas is like our abbreviation cause. So Lou has loosed the coats on the queen bee because or cause it's hot. So kos, quia, kas. And we also notice the kappa kite suffix above. All right, perfect middle passive participle having been loosed. Let's pronounce our nominative and genitive singulars together. Lalumenas, lalumene, lalumenon, lalumenu, lalumenes, lalumenu. All right, notice again, we have reduplication right up the front, la. And then we also have a loss of a helping vowel. With the present middle passive participle, we had lu omenos. The omicron there was the helping vowel. And notice the pattern of endings. 2, 1, 2. Just like what we've had already with a definite article. So your middle or middle passive participles follow all of them the 2, 1, 2 pattern. All right, Lou and the perfect parrot have been loose with their friend participle. Lou is looking in the mirror for reduplication, trying to play against the O-men. There's the men ending with their article bats. Article remind us of the word definite article. All right, the meaning of the perfect participle. Let's pronounce John 8:31. Elegen un ha Jesus pras tus pepistukatas, auto eudaius. Now, elegen is an imperfect active indicative third person singular, and our subject is Jesus. Then, or therefore, Jesus was saying to, now take a look at pepistukatos. We have a reduplication on the front, and we have a kappa. So this is a perfect active participle, masculine plural accusative. Now, the subject there is Iudaios, the Jews. That's also masculine plural accusative. So Jesus was saying to the Jews who had believed on him. The perfect participle is perfect to the main verb there. And the main verb there is Jesus was saying. So prior to this, they had believed and they were still in a believing condition. That's what the perfect participle emphasizes, an existing state. All right, another example from John 5. Let's pronounce it. Elegon un hoi iudaioi to tetherapoumeno sabaton estin. All right, our subject there is the Jews. Therefore, the Jews were saying, elegon, imperfect, active, indicative, third person plural. All right, now we notice tetherapoumeno. We have a reduplication up at the front, and then we have a loss of a helping vowel, and then we have our men ending. So perfect, middle passive participle, masculine singular dative. And the translation you'll see below, to the one who had been healed. And this is at the pool of Bethesda when Jesus had healed the crippled man. He was healed, but at the same time when the Jews are speaking to him, he is in a healed condition. That's why I say right up at the top, the perfect participle emphasizes an existing state. All right, a $50 expression. Down at the bottom, you'll see periphrastic construction. So in John 10:34, Jesus answered them, apekrithe, that's an aorist deponent indicative third singular of the verb apokrinomai. Now, notice here we have estin, he, she, or it is. Now, we see gegramenon. All right, we have a reduplication on the front. We have a loss of a helping vowel. We have men here. So this is a perfect middle passive participle, and this is neuter singular nominative. So coupled with the perfect participle has the expression of an existing state. Is it not written? Or has it not been written in your law? So that's called a periphrastic construction that really emphasizes the existing state. Another example of this would be in 1 John in his prologue, where he says, we write these things in order that our joy might be fulfilled. And the fulfilled there is a perfect participle hooked up with a present subjunctive of Amy, might be in a fulfilled condition. All right, now for a summary of all of our participle keys, chapter 12a, 12b, and 12c. If we see a stem and an ending, that tells us present. If we see a sigma alpha, that's our first aorist. If we have an internal stem change, that's second aorist. And the perfect is noted by reduplication right up at the front. Now, in terms of voice, most of our participles are going to have the new tau that are active. That tells us right across the board that we're dealing with an active participle. Now, the middle or middle passive participles contain men, right here, either amen or just simply men. The first aorist passive follows with the, is indicated by the theta epsilon, like we had with the theta eta of the first aorist passive in chapter 10. The perfect active is noted by the kappa, and the perfect middle passive, we also have the loss of a helping vowel. So those are the major keys that help us as we're looking at participles and we're looking at things from left to right. Those are the things to look for to help us identify the parsing of a particular participle. All right, a couple other items in chapter 12c, and these have to do with how some of the cases are used. So on this first slide here, we have special uses of the genitive case, and we have what's called a genitive of time, and this is expressing duration. So in Luke 18:7, at the tail end of the parable of the widow and the nasty judge, will not God vindicate his elect who cry to him? And then we see hemeros kai nuktas. Both of those are singular genitive forms, during day and night, meaning all the time. All right, John 21:2, we have a genitive of relationship, hoi to Zebediah, the ones of Zebedee. Now, the wider context indicates that the hoi, the ones, refers to the sons of Zebedee. Then in Matthew 13:3, we have what's called a genitive of the articular infinitive, and this expresses purpose. The articular infinitive simply means that there's a genitive article before the infinitive. So, exeilthen, hasperon, to sperain. So, the sower, or the one who sows, exeilthen, went forth. Now, to sperain, sperain is a present active infinitive of sparrow. And notice the to on the before the infinitive. It's genitive. So that expresses purpose. The sower went forth for the purpose of sowing. All right, some uses of the dative case. We have what's called a dative of time. Now, we had a genitive of time that expressed duration. But with the dative of time, it's much more precise. All right, tau te te nukti. This night, this very night, much more precise than the genitive of time that expresses duration. We have what's called a dative of respect also. So we have in the Beatitudes, makarioi hoi to hoi to pneumati. To pneumati, neuter singular dative. Blessed are the poor with respect to their spirit. And then Luke 5:27, and he saw a tax collector, beheld a tax collector, all right, anamati, neuter singular dative, by name Levi, or with respect to name Levi. All right, and then one other use is the dative of location. Sometimes older grammars call this the locative case. All right, te dexia. Dexias means right hand, and so we have a feminine singular dative here, at the right hand of God, expressing location. All right, and finally, we have some special uses of the accusative case. We have the accusative of time answers the questions how far or perhaps how long. So Luke 2:44, Eothon hemeras hadon. So they went. All right, hadon is a feminine singular accusative. This is one of those strange nouns. It's feminine but ends up taking masculine endings. Now, hemeras is feminine plural accusative. So they went a journey of a day. And John 4:40, emenen, he remained dua hemeras, 2 days. So the dua there emphasizes just that it's 2, but it indicates how long. This was the duration of his remaining. And finally, we have a cognate accusative, and this is pretty common in the New Testament where the verbal idea is repeated in the object. So, echarisan, first aorist active indicative, third person plural, they rejoiced. And charan, joy, feminine singular accusative, megalein, great. So you'll see that the noun, joy, is cognate with the verb, they rejoiced. So thanks, and this is a quick overview and review of both chapter 12c as well as a review of all of the participle keys. So thanks so much, and then we'll be looking for some practice on 12c.